Guys, I want to give you some real clear advice and guidance around how you should be returning to run post injury. So, if you're someone who is currently struggling with an injury right now, and you've had a diagnosis, you've sat down with a health professional, and they've kind of told you're dealing with some form of tendinopathy. What is now your clear trajectory? What is your path out of this situation and getting you back to doing what you love, which is running? Well, guys, first and foremost, you need to identify the fact that you have there's an inflammatory issue that in the site of pain you've got you're dealing with right now. Is it your Achilles? Is it your hamstring? Is it the knee? Either way, guys, that you've got to straight away understand that you have your body is reacting to an overload. Okay, you've been trying to do too much with too little, and whether that is based around your training program, that's based around your lack of S&C, that is a lack of recovery and rest within your programming. It could be a multitude of factors, but what we've got to do now is assess what you're good at, what you have been good at, and what you haven't been so good at. So right now, guys, as you're sitting here watching this, you've had an assessment, you've had a diagnosis, you're sitting here kind of chomping at the bit because you want to get back into running. What is the plan? You're probably aware that you need to do some form of strength training. What does that look like? Well, guys, you've got to make sure that you are doing some form of getting some form of assessment, physical assessment. What are the big percentage changes for you? What are the big hitters? What do you need to be dialing in on the most to get on top of this problem and to never have to deal with it again in the future? Is it hamstrings? Is it glutes? Is it single leg strength? Is it your ability to land or produce force and absorb force? Or is it all of it? But you should be having a quality conversation with a strength coach primarily to actually find out what you need to be working on, and then getting prescribed a program that is appropriate, taking into consideration the injury that you're dealing with, the struggle that you're dealing with, and then building up your strength profile, making you a stronger version of who you are, and making you more athletic in every shape and form. Okay, you should be able to land single leg, double leg, off a box onto a box, broad jump, vertical jump. You should be able to, you should be able to do all of that pain free with complete confidence over the next month or so. And that, depending on your training experience, it may take a few more months than that, but that is the kind of direction you want to be starting in. In terms of your running, you've got to make sure you're earning the right again to run again. Now, you cannot be listening to just kind of random advice, general advice around 6 weeks, 12 weeks, and you can start running again. I've said this before, but it's like giving a child, the option to go into a sweet shop and just pick any sweet they want. You cannot tell a runner that they can just start running again in 6 to 12 weeks, because the level that most people we work with at Strength Endurance, they're going to want to run 5K just for fun, and just going to sort of give a 30-minute, 45-minute run a little turnover. That is too much. That you're probably going to be overtraining your body straight away when you do that, because you have deconditioned your body in this time frame that you've left. Kind of you've created a gap because you haven't been running. You potentially haven't been loading those legs as you normally would. So you're going to be deconditioned. You're going to be weaker. So you've got to earn the right to get back into that running zone again. That strength and conditioning work would have done that for you to a certain degree, but nothing replaces running. So the way you return to your run has got to be logical. It's got to be on off in nature. You want to be doing, and because you want to be working for maybe 30-second effort, 60-second effort, and then recovering for an equal amount of time. So a 1-to-1 ratio. The reason you want that, guys, is because you want to make sure that the quality of your effort, your running efforts, is the highest it's ever been. Quality cadence, nice and extended through your hips and nice and tall through your posture, landing with symmetry, having a nice, no compensatory issues going on where you're kind of masking or hiding that previous injury that you had. You're just moving with the nice economy and nice efficiency. Do that for 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 10 efforts. Do that 3 times in the first week. Build on that. If there's no pain and you're starting to, your confidence is starting to grow, build on that confidence. Don't just think you can leap into that performance again. You've got to earn the right. It's like anything in life. If you take one step back, you've just got to kind of build that back up, and it will always be the case. So you're progressively building up your running alongside developing the weaknesses that potentially gave you the injury in the first place. What you've got to be thinking about, guys, is this progressive nature of developing your body alongside your aerobic ability. You can't just think that you can leap with your aerobic ability. You've got to make sure that you're dialing in on your physical qualities alongside this. During that assessment, I guarantee you would have found weaknesses in your posterior chain somewhere at your end range, or your in terms of your maximal strength, your ability to land will have been compromised. So there's going to be areas that you need to be working on. Work on those 2 to 3 times a week in your S&C work, and then build your running alongside that. How you run, how you get back into your running, guys, there is a skill to that. I don't want you thinking in those efforts that you're doing an easy, steady state effort. I don't want you thinking about sitting back and just taking it, playing it safe. But I also don't want you trying to run at full tilt either. What I want you to find is that sweet spot where you are running with those quality running mechanics that you are aware of. When you look at the top end guys and girls in the sport, you know what they look like. They're extended, they're tall, they're light on their feet, they've got nice symmetry, they're holding a very steady cadence. Do the same for yourself. Find your sweet spot where you are leaning into your running gait. If you were to film yourself running, are you extending through the hip? Are you extending through your knee and your ankle when you're in flight? You cannot afford to be sitting back with collapsed hips, rounded shoulders, head forward, and because you're just going to be hammering those joints, and you're not doing yourself you're doing yourself a disservice. You think you're building up your running volume, well, actually you're compounding the issue and probably sending yourself back into that vicious cycle. You've got to retrain yourself to a certain degree and build that confidence back into your running gait. All right. So think about what that extended position looks like. Think about what the best running version of you is, and start training that. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 60 seconds on, 90 seconds on, 2 minutes on. Build that up over time. And very quickly, guys, within 4, 6, 8 weeks time, you're running 5 minutes efforts and 5-minute efforts on, and you're doing it pain-free, and you're probably doing it faster, and you're doing it with better running efficiency and running economy because you're stronger and you have been dialing in on your running technique. This is how you get back to doing what you love, guys. There is a complexity to it. I understand, and like there, I'm speaking from experience of having done it with hundreds of people over the last couple of years. But there's a logic to it. You've got to earn the right. You've got to retrain the body. I'm coming from a place where I've broken my leg twice, my left leg. I know that when I start to fatigue and I start to lose shape when I'm out running, if I'm going long or I'm lifting heavy, I know that it's my left side that's going to start to fail me. I'm going to start to crumble there. So I need to tell myself to pick it up. Really think about those, going back into the basics of making sure that I'm moving with efficiency and moving with a good economy. You guys are the same. You may have a higher thresholds. It may take you to the point of an hour and a half of running, potentially, when you start to fall apart. Some of the best runners that we've ever worked with, their mantras when they get to those ridiculous distances of 100k into a race, or they're running at sub 16 5k efforts, the internal mantra is like their internal dialogue is very simple: light, easy, thinking about their nice light turnover, trying to keep themselves in the nice kind of efficient positions. Whether it's on the bike, in the water, on the run, it's the same principle. But you've got to earn the right, guys. And this is how you get back from injury. But it starts with that assessment. It starts with getting a clear idea of what you need to work on. And then you cannot expect your body to come back to where you want it to get to unless it has the tools to do so. Understand why you got there in the first place, so that you can work on those issues, those areas of weakness, so you never have to deal with them again in the future. Build like this, and you will have the tools, the framework to rebound again. You pick up another injury in the future because you've pushed the body, which is natural. Work on this process. Go back, look at what you need to work on more. Put that extra work into your S&C work. Build that back into your running programming. Be aware when you start to hit those thresholds at the hour mark or the certain interval efforts. Dial in on where you're starting to break down. Work, and you're going to keep leveling up that threshold. You're going to keep working on that. All right. So just a little bit of an insight, guys, I wanted to share with you. Guys, as always, like with any of this stuff, I would love to get on, I'd love to speak with you about it, because there is a complexity to it. Each of you are going to be at different places within this kind of spectrum. But I have complete confidence that working through this with this logic, you can work through any running injury. It's just whether you're trying to do too much with too little too often. That's what we're trying to mitigate. All right, guys, see you soon.